Okay, guys, I am trying to multitask over here and get my computers to work. For some reason, my Mac was being temperamental, so I had to use another computer, and the camera absolutely sucked. But I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, so I just opened it up. So I am now going to try and open up the chat so you guys can let me know whether you can see me or hear me, because everything over here is really temperamental. Okay, I see you said you can see me. Can you hear me? Someone let me know if you can hear me, and then I'll continue. I don't want to talk if you guys can't hear me. Okay, great. Thanks, Charmina, because I thought that I can hear myself. I just wanted to make sure that everybody could hear me. And excuse me, because this camera is a little weird. I'm going to try to be as still as possible. But hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I apologize about the brief delay. Uh, Nothing was working over here, so I couldn't get live. But I am live now, and again, I want to thank you all. I'm going to try to stay right in this area. I can see the chat on my other computer, so I'm going to, go back and forth between this computer and the other one so that I can make sure I'm chatting with you guys. And you can also chat with me via Facebook because I have my Facebook page up as well. So I want to make sure that I answer every question that you guys have. So to get started, I am Brittany Williams. I am the best-selling author of a few novels and a few collaborations, but I'll just start from the top and tell you a little bit about myself, and then you guys can ask me any questions, and I'll go over a lot of things during the time that I am here. So first, again, I am Brittany Williams. I started writing years back. Probably when I was about 12 or 13, I was in middle school. I wrote just for hobby. Never thought about making it anything professional. Gave it to a few friends, passed it around to some relatives, and everyone said, you should try to go ahead and do something with it. So from that point, I took a stab at it and I made it a full novel. At that point, I still really didn't have the courage or the knowledge to submit it to any publisher. I really didn't have a clue at the time of what you should do. So basically, I took it upon myself to go to bookstores and find books that were similar to mine. And, I brought a lot of them. And the publisher that I actually submitted to, which at the time was Qborough Books, and I brought maybe about 7 or 8 of the novels that they had out at the time. Those novels included Anna Jay, My Woman, His Wife. It was another book called Ace of Spades, or I think it was Ace of Spades. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it was Mark Anthony's his own novel. He had at that time, I think maybe about 10 to 15 authors. And I just read them, to see if they were similar to mine, to see if I thought that mine would fit. At that point, the submission guidelines were listed in the back of the novels, and the submission guidelines were pretty simple. I just had to submit 3 chapters of a book and a synopsis, and I took it from there. Again, I had no clue what a synopsis was. So I went and I Googled it, found tons of examples, but none really matched my content. So I stumbled upon a website by Karen E. known as Miller. And on her website, she listed, all of her novels, everything pretty much about her. But she also had a page where you could see a sample query letter from one of her first novels that she submitted. So I printed out that synopsis and I went ahead and just researched it, looked up everything that she did as well. And she was actually having a book signing in Philadelphia at the time at a restaurant downtown, which is no longer there, but it was called Zanzibar Blue. And I attended that book signing, and she was just really nice, really nice. Reached out, hugged me, because I had emailed her prior to coming to the event just to say like, hey, I used your example and it helped me out a lot. At that time, I still didn't have a deal, but shortly after that, I was contacted by Mark Anthony. I met him in Philadelphia, and within about 2 months or so after that, I had my first publishing deal. So I know that all is a mouthful, and I also know that it's really not that simple to get a book deal, especially nowadays because there's so much competition out here. And I think that the issue is people don't take the time to research, and I researched, excuse me, for months before I even had the nerve to, submit anything because I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't get turned down. And luckily, the first publisher I submitted to at the time wanted the book. So I didn't even have a chance to submit it to anybody else. I never got any rejection letters or anything like that. And everything with the company went well. I never had an issue with Q Burrow Books or anything like that. So everything from that point went well. So I know that you guys are chatting over here. I'm trying to look back and forth. So again, excuse me for turning my head to the side, but again, I'm working on 2 computers over here. So to say in short, as you can see at the top of the screen, it says Miss B, the Jackie of all trades. And actually, my publicist, shout out to Miss Sharmina Ellis, who is in the chat room and texting me and letting me know that everything is coming across clear. But she actually mentioned that to me at one point, and it kind of stuck from that point. It's on my website, on my promo material, and everything. And basically, what that means is that I do a lot. Not only am I an author, but I am a playwright, I am a director, I'm a producer, I'm working on films, I'm a graphic designer, I model, I'm a single mother, and I also have a full-time job. So I do everything. I can make clothes, I can, I could do a number of things. But right now, the books, that's my main goal. Though I'm always working on other projects, but the books definitely have gotten me a lot of fame, a lot of publicity, a lot of contacts and everything. So I would never turn my back on the book game. So I am going to let you guys ask me, any quick questions just for a minute, and then I will move forward to the next topic on my list. But I am trying to chat over here. Let's see what you said. So Dream More Firm. Can we see that DVD? I'm not sure what DVD you are talking about. If you mean from my play, there is no DVD. I mean, it's an archive DVD, but it's not one that would be shown. We're actually planning on shooting that again, so there will be a DVD in the future. But I'm not sure if that's what you're actually asking me. So I am trying to read what you have over here. So I don't get right. Okay, I am trying to read what you guys have over here, but I think that I'm a little bit behind you guys. So okay, yes, for the stage play, it doesn't let us type it. Okay, yeah, because I'm like it's letting it's I'm coming up a few minutes behind you. But yeah, for the stage play, like I said, it was taped for archive purposes. Actually, when I watched the DVD, I changed a lot of things. So the final script that I came up with after that is totally different than the original script. Once I stepped back and watched it, I saw a lot of things that I wanted to change because when I was in the building, I really didn't see. I might have saw like 15 minutes of the play. I really didn't see any of it because I was so busy running all around that I never had a chance to actually sit there and watch it. So that kind of sucked, but it was great that I did have that tape so I can make some changes. I am looking over here. Okay, how do you suggest someone broadens their audience? I think that's a good question. I think that you can't always market just to those that are, the stereotypical readers. I've been on many book signings all over, and I've had people come to me and say, yeah, this is all I read is hood books. I don't read any other kind of book, and that may very well be so, but you can't just market to those people. And I think that it comes with your title, with your cover, your synopsis. It comes with all of that, and I think that with my books, it has the urban erotica and all of that of most of the street novels. But I've had many Caucasians. Caucasians came to the play. I've had Puerto Ricans and everyone else. It's not just the people in our neighborhoods, and it's not just the people that are in the poor areas or in the projects or the people that are even experiencing this. So it is other people out there that want to know what we go through. And I mean, I think that we all write it as real as possible, from what we've experienced ourselves. So I think that the key is, just getting out a message. I think without a message, you'll lose people. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the urban fiction today is that most of them, it's the same story over and over again. It's never a message. It's just, the drug dealer with the cute girlfriend and the cars and the money and, the shooting and the murders. And, it's pretty much the same. It's never different. I think you definitely have to take the time out to see what's out there so you don't find yourself repeating a story that's already done. And I know that you can't help it sometimes because you can't read every book, and more than likely you've experienced the same thing that hundreds of other people have experienced. But I would always say do as much research as possible, and then come up with a storyline that's unique, and don't stick to the script per se, because I think that is what will keep you boxed and not make it possible for you to get out there to other readers. And actually, before I move on and answer this next question, actually with my play, it was a lot of older people in the audience, and I was really surprised. I mean, it wasn't marketed as a gospel or anything. It was, I had one flyer where it was a female with a gun in her hand. So I really didn't expect to see that many people from an older crowd. But surprisingly, there were a lot of older females, men, and it was just a range of ages in there. It was, like I said, African American, Caucasians. We had it all. So I think that it was successful in getting to a lot of different audiences. So, all right. Questions from an online reader. When you first were signed to Q Borough, did you find it complicating to sell? Actually, before my first novel came out, I had the luxury, and I would call it a luxury because I was blessed to have authors like Anna J. and Quan and Treasure E. Blue and Eric S. Gray. I was blessed to have those authors who didn't mind having me tag along. I went on many book signings and book tours with, those authors that I just mentioned long before my book was even out. I mean, I'm talking maybe a year or more before my book was ever published. So I learned a lot from them. They always would sit and talk to me. They would answer any questions I had. They were always a big help. So I was blessed in that. And once my book came out, I had actually, made a big enough name for myself that I didn't have an issue with sales. And I don't know if it was, the title or the cover, because honestly, I didn't like the cover at the time when I first saw it. I thought it was pretty simple, and I thought it was a stereotypical cover. But, when I met Mark Anthony a few months after the book came out, even when the week it came out, he was texting me and saying, this is my second bestseller ever. And again, I think that it was a blessing because I didn't do anything at that time that was really different. I didn't really know more than, those 4 or 5 authors that I named in the business. And actually people were attached to it. People that I would never thought that, a month and a half later I would sell out of the first printing. And, even now in 2011, my first book came out in February of 2007 and it's still selling today. So, again, I think that is a blessing. So let me look over here and say, I'm sorry, guys. I'm scrolling down because now they're coming through like faster than I can answer them. Let me go to the next question. What tactics did you use to market your book? Okay. To market my books, I did a lot of promotion in my hometown. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, if you guys didn't know that. And I did a lot of promotional events that weren't even attached to the book long before the book came out. So I was close with a lot of promoters, and I was actually able to, tag on to some of their events and things like that. And I did a lot of giveaways. That, back when my first book came out, that was, the days of MySpace. So at that time, back in '07, I had, 10,000 friends on MySpace because I networked with everyone I could. Any magazine, I could find, any other authors, just anybody that could, get me in a position where my book can be seen. Like I said, I think giveaways are really important because that makes people, even if they don't really care about your book or not the content at all, often they'll just, come to an event or look at a video or anything just to get something free. So if you can give some things away, I think that is always a good thing to do. Even if it's a CD, I always did a little soundtrack with my novels. My first one, it was just a compilation of different songs that I felt were related to the situations in the novel. My second book, I actually went a little further and had a graphic designer. His name is Miami Chaos. And if you guys ever look at the mixtapes where they're illustrated characters, he does CD covers for all the mixtapes and all the rappers. And it cost me a pretty penny to do the cover, but it actually got a lot of attention. And I think that was another thing that got me, got more people interested in the project even back then. So let me go up again. How can you sell a book without the actual book? Been to book signings and people would not pre-order. Yeah, pre-ordering sometimes, a lot of people don't like to pre-order, and I think the part of the issue is that they don't feel confident that the project is ever even going to hit the shelves. So they'll pay for something that they may never get. And I think the problem is a lot of authors, they jump the gun before they even have the funding or anything, thinking that the pre-orders will cover the cost of printing, getting the cover done, website, marketing material, anything that they need done, they feel like they can get enough pre-orders to cover that, and that won't ever happen. No one is gonna. You're not gonna sell enough pre-orders to pay for 5, 10, 15,000 books, covers, mark. That many people will never pre-order a book. So I think pre-ordering is good. If you're published by a major or a smaller publishing house, they love it. They love the pre-orders, and I think that is great because it gives your project more momentum. But I don't think that you can depend on it because again, people are really scared to pre-order. So often, I link it. Like for instance, my next book will be out in October, and I mentioned it maybe 3 or 4 times earlier on in the year, and then I was done with it. For the simple fact that I don't feel that at this point in time, even back in January, a book that's coming out in October, that people will really purchase. That many people will purchase it, and people actually do think that somebody is going to buy it 10 months in advance, and the book may never even hit the stores. So, well, some authors claim they do well with pre-orders, but have not seen it yet. That's true. I mean, I'm sure some authors do okay, but it's not going to do as well as it is if the book is on the shelves and available to come as soon as they purchase it. People don't like to spend money. I mean, you think about a layaway. If somebody is laying away and you tell them, oh, you have a year to pay for this, they're going to take that year before they pay for it. Nobody is going to, say, oh, well, no, I have the money now when they can actually, get something else that they may want more at that time and it's available right then and there. They'll probably go for that first. I think that, we all sell some books in advance, but again, I don't think you'll sell tens of thousands of books in advance. And never enough to get your books printed. And I don't think that that's a wise thing to do because ultimately you'll lose people if they feel like you're constantly promoting things that are never available. So I would never suggest to do that unless you actually have the books and the funding to print them. Did you ever have problems with independent publishers paying royalties or get out of a contract with them? No, I've never had a problem with royalties, though I know and I've heard, the horror stories of authors out there that do have, bounce checks and things like that. But I can again say I'm one of the blessed ones that I've never had an issue. Again, when I first signed my contract, I was signed with Q Barrow Books, who was, at the time he was growing, but he was still a much smaller company than Urban Books, who I am now signed to. Back years ago, he sold the company to Carl Weber, who is the owner of Urban Books, and I've never had a problem with Urban, and I never had a problem with Q Barrow. So from my standpoint, I've never had those issues, but I do know of a lot of authors that have those issues. I think that you need to protect yourself. Make sure you know what you're signing. A lot of authors are just so excited to get the contract that they fail to read what's there, or they fail to get a lawyer to look over it, or even if not a lawyer, if you can't afford a lawyer, find someone that can explain the terminology. I mean, my first contract was 15 pages long, but I didn't sign it immediately and send it back. I made sure that I knew and I understood everything that was in that contract. And I have never gotten, gagged. Even when I signed my second contract, I simply, said, well, hey, can I have the movie rights and the sound production rights and things like that? They said, no problem, you can have them. It was just that simple. And I look back at my first contract and said, well, wow, if I would have known it was that easy the first time, I would have asked for them, but I didn't. So that was one thing that I did let slide just because I felt like as a new author, they would never give those to me. And, who's to say that they would have back then, but I think that those things are important because you never know what can come about. You know, someone 10 years later can say, "Hey, I want to give you $100,000 to do a movie," and then you have to split it with them. So that would suck. So let's see, what are great ways to market your books? Great ways to market your books. Anything online, anything out in the street. You definitely want to have a street team, people all over. You know, if you give people free things, even those that are promoting the work for you, people love free stuff. So you can find a lot of people out here that are willing to promote your work just for a free book or just for a free CD or just for anything free or even just for your attention, like for you to just say, hey, thank you, I really appreciate you, doing that for me. um you can find a lot of people that will promote for you. I had a lot of people on MySpace, people all over that I didn't even know, that would constantly promote my work for me. And even now on the streets, Facebook, um, all over, you can definitely find help, but you need help. You can't do it alone. You definitely need a team. And you can't ever, and I always say this, ever think that someone else is going to promote your book more than you will yourself. A lot of people will hire a publicist, um, a manager, or whoever, and they think that they can just sit with their feet up and they don't have to do any work. And that's bull. Like you won't sell books if you sit there and depend on other people to push your work as hard as you would. It's not theirs, and they getting paid regardless. So the bottom line is, even though I always had those people, I had a publicist before my book was ever released. But I never depended on her to promote my work alone. I was still on MySpace and still reaching out to people. And half of the magazine interviews and newspaper interviews I have, I got myself. It didn't even come from my publicist, just because people often contact you directly, and a lot of authors don't even respond to emails or check emails. And I've always been one to check and respond to every email that I can. I may not respond immediately, but I make sure that I respond as quick as I can, because often you'll miss the opportunity to be featured in a newspaper. And even if it's a small newspaper or neighborhood newspaper, who cares? I don't care if only 15 people read that newspaper, but that's 15 people that may not have knew about me otherwise. So I think you need to take every opportunity for promotion. So let's see. How do you feel about ebooks? I think ebooks are great. I think that ebooks ebooks are helping authors who don't have the funding to actually, take and publish 5 or 10,000 books. It's helping them, get published. Um, the only thing that I dislike about, the whole ebook, boom per se, is that it's a lot of authors that just use the ebook in the place of the trade paperbacks or the hardcovers. And I think that that's not a good move. Not right now. The internet, not everyone is, it's some people that still carry, a regular old flip phone that barely gets on the internet. It's some people that like the old stuff, that really can care less about a touch screen or Android or iPhone or any of that. So the point is, like T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, they would be fools to stop selling the regular old $40 flip phone, because what'll happen is the people that don't care for the $500 and $600 phone, they'll go over to Cricket or Metro or whoever is out here selling those phones, and then they will lose. So the point I'm making is that if you only decide to do an ebook, you're going to lose hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands of people that don't care for ebooks. There's plenty of people out there that still love to have a book in their hand. So I think that it's important that if you're going to do an ebook, that you consider doing print, a print copy, a print run. Even if you can only do a small amount, I think that it's important to have those available, even if it's print on demand, because some people just don't care for the ebook too much. Let me see. Yes. And then look it over. Don't pay out. Maybe self or slow. Yeah, again, people are on the internet all day, but I would purchase a book more than likely if I walked in a store and saw it than if I saw it online. You know, I actually, I only have a few ebooks, and I actually don't have a Kindle or a Nook or any e-reader. I just read it on my computer. But I don't think that I would ever even purchase those, unless books just stop being printed altogether. But I really don't care for that too much either. I would actually prefer to have a paperback because electronics, they tend to be extremely temperamental, and you know you may be in a situation where you really want to read and you can't read because the battery's not working, or the internet connection isn't working, or some nonsense like that. So that's my thing. So I am looking out for any other questions. So let me move on to some of these other things that my wonderful publicist outlined for me to discuss. Uh, it says, let's see, benefits, pros, and cons of being with a major publisher. I think that the benefits of being with a major publisher, is that the distribution is amazing. I mean, my book, people that, in Detroit and people all over say, oh, I went into Walmart and they had your book. And, they're in Detroit, or, they're in Tennessee, or they're in Texas, or, they're all over. And, some of the smaller independent publishers just don't have that sort of distribution, especially not to reach a Walmart store, or you know, I mean, it's a little easier to get it in the Borders than a Walmart, or Black Expressions, or anywhere like that. It's a little harder for the independent publishers. So I think that for me, I think that's the best thing about being with a major publisher, is that you get awesome distribution, and they run their own promotions and things like that. I don't depend on those, but it's occasionally I'll pick up a magazine and see that they have an ad and my book is there. So I think that's great. I don't depend on those, and I don't think that that's what makes being with them great. I could say a con would be sometimes you get swallowed up. When you with an independent publisher, they have way less authors to deal with. So when you're with a major publisher that has 40, 50 authors to deal with or more, you can definitely get swallowed up. And if you don't get out there and push your work, it'll just fall to the wayside. I mean, you can't depend on your name alone selling books off a shelf, because ultimately I've walked in many stores, and I've seen a wall of African American books, and it's almost overwhelming to me, where I just can't even decide what to get. It's just so many. But if it's an author, standing right there, or it's a poster, something in that store, showing your presence, sometimes people will just buy it just because of that. Because looking at hundreds of books on a wall can definitely be overwhelming. Uh, let's see what we have. Oh, Eric. Hi, Eric. Is that my brother? Eric Williams on there. Hi. Trying to break into my field. Uh, you know, I you're my brother, so I know that you're an awesome writer. Uh, just because of that, we definitely have some good genes. But I think that with your talent, you definitely can get out there. You just have to be extremely serious and competitive, because it's like hundreds of new books every day. So you have to find a way to be different so that you can stand out among the crowd. I think that with that and determination, you definitely can do it. I think that's important for anyone trying to get into any field, not even just publishing. Let me see. Yes, I don't care for independent since it's like self-publishing. Dream for more firm. I don't think independent is necessarily like self-publishing, just because I was signed to a smaller independent publisher with Q Burrow, and he did things for me that I would have never been able to do on my own, not at that time because I didn't have the knowledge, to even do some of the things that he did, the events and, a lot of things that he introduced me to, I think were great. So, I'm so grateful to Mark Anthony for, taking, a risk with my project because ultimately I wouldn't be here if he hadn't. So I think that independent publishers can be good, but they can also be bad if the business sucks. Everybody isn't a great businesswoman or businessman just because they have the money. That doesn't mean that it's going to work. So you definitely can have some companies out there that suck at that. Okay, let me see. I don't see any more questions yet. So let's see what she has here. All right, so I think I touched on a lot of things here, but I can go on to some of my new projects. I have a lot of new things going on, a lot of things coming up. First and foremost, my next novel, which I know people have been waiting for forever. It's been over a year actually, as of now, since I had a novel out. But my next novel, which is titled CoverGirl, will be in stores October 25th. So for all of my lovely fans out there, I am coming back. The novel, uh, it 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 definitely has the ingredients, of all of my other novels, but I took it a little bit uh, different because I have a cousin who actually experienced a lot of things in her lifetime, and I didn't want to write, a book about her, but I felt that for her to have experienced so much, it would be more real, and more true to life if I can just sit and, listen to the things that she's been through. I mean, I can write about a crack house, but I've never been in one, so to have someone that has been in a crack house, has, been in a psych ward and, been on every drug that there is, um, I think that that is what will make this book stand out, from my other novels because, I've heard it from someone that has experienced it firsthand. Uh, Let me get to a question. Well, I know some authors told me they left because they weren't doing anything and went self-publishing. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work for everyone, and that's always, something that I say. My situation, again, it definitely wasn't the norm. I mean, I've heard authors that have had 6, 7, 8, rejection letters, and I never had one. So I think that it can be, any situation can be bad, and bad for one person and good for someone else. So um, those authors that were able to get out and self-publish, again, are blessed because some authors that are stuck and are not able to even have a second chance at it. So, I think that they're blessed to have that. Let's see. I've started writing short stories for competition to see if I tell a story. Yeah, I think that that's good, Eric. I actually used to look online for a lot of different competitions. I never really got into it and submitted to any of them, but I think that that's a great thing to do because at least that way, even if you don't win a competition, you can get some constructive criticism because in any competition out there, they're not going to just say, "Oh, your story was horrible. We didn't want it." Like honestly, a lot of people will take the time to tell you what they didn't like about it, and those are the people that you want because you don't want somebody to just butter you up and say, "Oh, this novel is great" or "this story is great," and then you go get out there and try to submit it to publishers and you're getting doors slammed in your face. So I think you definitely need those people around. Uh, let's see. Is this being published by you or Urban Books? I thought it was being done by you. What made you do it yourself? No. CoverGirl is not published by me. That is published by Urban Books. I actually signed a 3-book contract with Urban Books toward the end of last year. CoverGirl being the first and Black Diamond 3 being the second, which will be released next year. I am doing some projects on my own, but it is not that CoverGirl novel. Um, I actually just released a series of short story ebooks just because, again, my fans, I think, a lot of them were forgetting about me because, again, it's been over a year since I've had anything out. And partly because I was doing my stage play last year at the same time that my novel Black Diamond 2 was released. I didn't get out and do as much promotion, as many book signings and things that I would have liked to do, and that I normally do. But because I was so tied up with the play, um, the promotional things kind of fell to the wayside. I mean, it didn't affect my book sales, but I like to get out there and talk to my fans and give advice and things like that. So with my next book, I am going to do that. But again, I released a series of ebooks. One being episodes of A Party Girl. That's a serial ebook. It'll be many different episodes, sort of like a TV show, but in a short story form. And I actually based that story on a group of girlfriends of mine. We used to go. I used to be out at a club pretty much every night years ago, probably in about 2007, 2006, 2007 when I was promoting events. And we saw a lot of things being out, and we experienced a lot of things. So basically, I thought it would be pretty funny to write about those things, but not necessarily with that person. So it could be something that I did, but it would be the person that's closer to another one of the girls who would be doing it in the story. I did it that way just so nobody could say, this is who you're talking about. And it'll be tons more series of that episodes of A Party Girl coming soon. I will be releasing the third and fourth episode within the next few weeks. I also released a short story called Fever. And actually, Fever, I wrote that years ago for a collaboration, and at the time it was placed on hold. So I just figured since I had it sitting around, I could just go ahead and run through it again and make some changes and release it. And I've gotten some good feedback on it, and I plan to do more of those type of stories. It is a little different than anything I've ever written to those that have purchased the Fever short story. And my next thing is my Bad Choices short story. That's a teen short story. That is also different than anything that I have out here now. And I wrote that for a project that wasn't it was the publishing of the project, it was just lagging. So I just had the story sitting around, and after thinking and spending time with a lot of students, I've traveled to a lot of different schools, and I just felt that I would release it, but I would turn it into a full campaign, and I'll get a little more deeper into that. I'm just going to answer this question. When's the next stage play? And Simply Right, that will mean Ronald Missing calling. That's funny. Yeah, my next play is actually going to be next year. I'm hoping for February. And it's a stage play that's not based on any of my novels. The stage play is actually going to be called Shattered, and I'm writing it with a good friend of mine. His name is Kevin Rakeem White, and he's an author and he's a poet. He's an acting coach, and he actually came out, volunteered to help my cast for Black Diamond, and he helped them out tremendously. So he definitely was a blessing on that project. So me and him are writing that together. So you will definitely hear more about that coming up soon. Let's see. Do you feel that the HBF Harlem Book Fair is beneficial to new and upcoming authors? I think that Harlem Book Fair is great because the readers are there. It's not so much like a book expo where you got a lot of teachers and libraries and things like, I mean, because the cost of the badge to get in the book expo is so expensive. Harlem Book Fair is free as long as you can get there. So I mean, you have people coming with suitcases, huge suitcases ready to buy books. So I think that it's great because you get right up, in their face, up close and personal. You just gotta, grab their attention. Set up a table. You gotta do something different because there's hundreds of authors out there trying to do the same thing. But I definitely think it's a beneficial event. Let me see. Anna J. Hi, Anna. Anna's in the house. For those of you who know Miss Anna J, Essence best-selling author of tons of books, best known for My Woman, His Wife. What is the most important tip you can give a newcomer? I think for any newcomer, the most important tip would be to be unique. Again, there's hundreds of authors out there being released every single day. And it's so hard to get swallowed up. It's so hard to be swallowed up. And even if you're published by an independent, a major, whoever, you have to uh, stand up for yourself. I mean, even though they're publishing your book, you can't just let them just take the reins totally, because sometimes they can do some weird things with your cover. I've had lines being changed that I didn't even write, and later I'm reading it and I'm like, I didn't write that, but you definitely have to step up for yourself. If it's a cover that you hate, if it's a line you hate, you need to step up and say, listen here, I don't like this line, I don't care for this cover, or whatever it may be. And whatever you have to do to be unique, because I think that the covers with the big booty girl and the money, uh, things like that is going to soon get played out, and they'll all look the same actually. Uh, let's see. This Thanks. This is a great. No problem. Dream for more. Um, I thought about doing this Ustream because I get a lot of emails, and it's again, I said I try to respond to everyone, but often it gets hard because you constantly getting asked the same questions over and over again. And I know my fellow authors out there, like Miss Anna J, knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, you don't want to be rude, or you want to be nice, and you want to try to answer everything you can, but just sometimes answering the same question over and over again, it gets a little tiring. So, you definitely I want to do things like this, and I'll do more things like this to help others that are in need. And I realized that I haven't done any contests, and I want to give you guys the things that I have here. I have books, I have CDs, T-shirts, and for me to ask these questions, I think that'll take away from any questions that you guys might have, or anything that you want to know about me. So if you guys email me your contact information, I will get all of you a gift, because I have so much over here to give away. And I can see who actually viewed and who participated. So just definitely email me. My email address is Brittany@BrittanyWilliams.com. My first name is Brittani. So Brittany@BrittanyWilliams.com. Just email me your contact information, and I'll get some of these good gifts that I have out here for you guys, instead of killing you with these contests, the contest. Let's see, glad you mentioned covers. That is so important. Yes, Anna. I have seen lately some of the most horrible covers out here, especially via Facebook. And not just because I'm a graphic designer that I want everybody to use my services, because that's definitely not the truth. Like, I've, recommended Davita to many people. And it's not even about the money, but I think that a lot of authors don't realize how important a cover is. It's just as well as a title. You see some titles that's like 10 words long, instead of them, sitting there thinking and trying to figure out what is important out of all 15 words, that they have there. They have, a whole paragraph. So what'll happen is, people just, they won't even sit there to read all of that. They'll just walk right past your book. And your cover is, that's definitely the first thing that will get their attention. If you don't grab a person's attention from far back or even up close, you'll get swallowed up. You got to realize there's hundreds of books that's right next to you, and some of those have great covers, and the stories might be horrible. The writing could be horrible, the editing could be horrible, but those authors sell because they were able to get those people to pick it up off the shelf. So, your cover and your title is definitely important, just as well as your synopsis. A lot of people screw up with the synopsis as well, and there's so many tutorials and so many sites and so many authors like Karen, Quinones Miller, who actually are nice enough to share, examples of things that she's done, because you can use that to model yours. I think that is no excuse for some of the, the work that's out here. It's really no excuse for that, because you have so much out here to learn from. Some people are just really lazy and that excited about, getting out there, that they just forget about what's important. And those books will be sitting there collecting dust, and they'll have 5,000 copies for the next 10 years. So you definitely need to take those things into consideration. And like I said, I don't want everybody to hire me. I just want you guys to take more pride in your work. I mean, if you sat there for months, years, however long it took you to write that book, you should want to present it in the best way possible. I think that's really important. Um, so I don't see any other questions right now. So I'm gonna just, say wrap up a few more things that are here on my list. Again, I have a few novels. I have ebooks. You can always check out my website at BrittanyWilliams.com. I always update it. I'm actually going to redesign the site within the next month or so, and I'm actually adding a VIP club. It's a free club, but you'll have a password which will get you onto, password protected pages where you'll get things for free. You'll get, previews of, upcoming work before anybody else. You'll get free ebooks. If the ebook is 99 cents on Kindle or Nook, you'll probably just get it for free, just by being a VIP member. So definitely look out for that, and make sure you join my mailing list, because I send out a lot of good information. And also for any authors who are watching this now, or who, archive and look at it later, I always like to support my peers. And because I have a lot of projects coming for the next, few weeks, few months, few days. I'm always sending out newsletters. So I have, been just adding, other people's work to my newsletter, just to spotlight them as well, because there's some great talent out here that, it doesn't hurt to promote someone else. I don't think that that takes away from me. I don't think that my fans will say, well, hey, forget Brittany, I'll never buy her book again. I'm going to just, get this person's book now. They can be a fan of more than one author. So actually, this month I put Anna J's project on my list. So definitely check out that project. Anna J is releasing a series, an ebook series called Erotic Snapshot. You can check out her website for more info at allthingsanaj.com. I actually designed her website. Very nice, by the way. So check that out. She's releasing a few more. I think she's releasing them once a month. If Ann is still here, she can type and let you guys know if that's the truth. But I think that she's doing once a month. I also spotlighted Omar Tyree. Now I know everybody knows Omar Tyree. He's a national best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, 19, books deep. But I spotlighted him as well because he's actually about to release an ebook himself, which is called Corrupted. It'll be available July 15th, so you can check out his website at omartyree.com for more information on that. I think that's actually going to be a good serial ebook, because it's going to have a lot of the the dark side of publishing, a lot of things that people don't know about, and a lot of things that I think it'll be really interesting to see played out, in a novel, in a fictional way. So definitely you guys want to check that out. Let me see, where can we see your graphic work design? Thank you for asking that. I have so much going on. Sometimes I forget to mention things, but my graphic design site is A like Apple, P like Paul, M like Mary, G like George, boutique.net. I know that's a lot, but the company, it was actually just changed from Miss B Graphics to a Pretty Mess Graphics Boutique. So the letters are just, the first letters of those words. A Pretty Mess Boutique uh, is the new graphic design company. I changed it just to be a little more mainstream. I'm actually in school for graphic design now, going for a bachelor's um, in that. So, I felt like that would be a good thing to do instead of using the Miss B, in case I ever hire any employees or anything like that. So, let me see. I don't want to keep you guys on here forever, but one project I do want to talk about is my Bad Choices campaign. This campaign is, like I said, it's really, really, really important, and it's really a good thing. Our teens are, they're struggling, and they are truly, truly, truly in danger. I think that a lot of people lack parenting skills. A lot of people just don't care. A lot of people are young. A lot of people are single mothers, trying to make it, and they got to work two jobs, and then their kids, get neglected. I mean, it's a lot of reasons why our children are often left to make adult decisions without having the mental capacity to do so. So with the Bad Choices campaign, again, it's a short story that's available right now on Nook and Kindle for just $1.99. And it's, a small price for a huge message. I think adults, parents, and teenagers will definitely enjoy it because I'm a parent, I'm a single mother, and I often, look at things that I've done or things that I've said or, the way I've handled situations, and I feel like I could have done something just a little bit different, and it probably could have made a difference. So I think that if you, are from, the outside looking in, you may be able to, point out things that you could change about yourself, and in turn, help these kids because they are in trouble. So the Bad Choices campaign is going to, go from the short story, and it will be turned into a film and a documentary that I am actually going to produce, write, and direct myself. We're planning to start filming in October, and we are actually right now accepting sponsorships, and we're doing a lot of different things to try to raise money for the campaign so that we can go and take the film around to different schools. I want to do a 10 city tour to go to some of the, the most endangered places. Some people emailed me Detroit, St. Louis, and, places like that that I probably would never go any other time. But I think that it's important to get to these schools and, get to these teens and just try to make a difference. And I don't want to bore them, and I don't ever want to seem like I'm preaching to a choir. So I think that the way the story is written, if I keep that same formula with the film, that they'll be enjoying it, not necessarily realizing that it's meant to get a message across. So that's my goal with the Bad Choices film. So you guys can actually check out the website for Bad Choices. It's badchoicesfilm.com. It has sponsorship information, and you can even donate $1. Like $1 can definitely help save a life. So I know everyone has a dollar out there that's available. It wouldn't break you to grab some change out of your change purse and your coat pockets and the bottom of your pocketbooks. If you're like me, every pocketbook has loads of change in it. But a dollar can help. It can save a life. So you definitely want to check out the website. It also has casting information for those who are actors and actresses. We're also looking for professionals for the documentary portion. So if you're a teacher, a principal, um, a poet, a doctor, a nurse, a psychologist, a therapist, like we need all of you because I want you guys to speak on things that you have seen and things that you can offer to help these teens out. So I won't kill you with the Bad Choices campaign, but definitely please check that out. It's an important campaign, and I think that's one of the most important things that I have done in my writing career is creating that short story and now this campaign. So let me see. Again, so what I have, if anybody else doesn't have any more questions for me, again, look out for my next novel, Cover Girl. It'll be in stores October 25th. And all of my ebooks, which are all available on Nook and Kindle. If you type my name in, you'll get the list of everything that I have available out there, all the collaborations, and definitely, support those too. Even though some of the collaborations we don't get money, meaning advance. I mean, you get a small advance sometimes, but you don't collect royalties. I think that those are great as well, and I would never, not promote the work just because I'm not getting royalties. So definitely check out those collaborations. Fantasy is one that I've done by Kate Elliott, and Flexin' and Sexin' was released on Life Changing Books. So definitely check those out. And I also did The Cat House with Miss Anna J. and Lorinda D. Brown. We did that a few years back, and that's still available on Urban Books. So definitely check out those collaborations and everything else that I have coming up. And if I haven't answered your questions, you guys can always email me. Again, my email address is brittany@brittnywilliams.com, and I do my best to respond and answer every question you have. And if it's necessary for me to do another Ustream, I will definitely do so to answer any questions that you guys have. And if you guys ever want to know how to get me at an event, a book club event, anything, you can reach out to my publicist, Sharmina Ellis of ST Ellis & Co. You can go to her website at stellisandco.com, and all of her information is there as well. And if Sharmina doesn't have anything else for me to discuss, I will let you guys go. But I'll wait and make sure that I answer all of your questions before I log out of here. I don't have anything to do or anywhere to go. So if you want to ask me something, be sure to do so before I log out. Let me check the chat room and see what's on Facebook before I log out of here. Okay. Alright, doesn't look like anyone else has a question for me, so I am going to say good night. And I thank you all for attending. I think that it's great to have people like you guys that support any project that I have put out, or any movement or any play or anything that I've done, because I know that I do a lot, and sometimes it can be overwhelming to see 10 projects at once, but I am definitely a multitasker, so you will never see me just doing one thing, never. So I will say good night to you guys, and be sure to reach out to me in the future, and have a good night.